In this video series, we're answering the question that all of us are searching for an answer for. Who am I? Where did you come from? Our answer to that question tells us something about who we are, right? It tells us what makes me, me, and what makes you, you. I'll give you an example. Hi, I'm Becky. I grew up in Suffolk with 3 brothers and a mum and dad. That's where I come from. That's a little bit about what makes me, me. So what makes you, you? Where did you come from? But of course, where you come from isn't just the location you were born in or the people who were in your household. Where you come from is your backstory. You know, the story that led up to this moment in your life right now. What came before this moment? In our favourite films and TV shows, there's always a great backstory to the hero, right? They've had to overcome something. They've been through some tough stuff, but it's made them what they are. We find them attractive, we find them appealing, we root for them because of all that they've overcome. But the villain has always been through some stuff too, right? The villain's always got a backstory, but their backstory has made them unattractive, resentful. We don't root for them. The truth is, everybody has a backstory, but nobody wants to feel like their backstory's made them into a villain. Nobody wants a backstory that makes them feel like they're not made of the right stuff. But maybe you have had a backstory that makes you feel like that. Maybe your parents weren't all that great. Maybe you didn't have the opportunities that other kids had because of your finances or because of your abilities. Maybe you don't know who both your parents were. Maybe your backstory has made you feel like you're not made of the right stuff. Backstories can hold us back. But I want to tell you a backstory that involves you, that's part of your story. That doesn't just answer the question of where you come from or what you're made of, but it answers the question of why you matter. Here's something I really believe. Everybody needs a better backstory than the one the world has handed them. You see, our world says, sure, you're valuable, but you're more valuable if you came from the right place, or you got the right education, or you speak right, or you look right, or your skin color's right, or you've got an able body. You see, our world cares too much about the backstories of individual people and not enough about the backstory of us, of what makes us human, of where we came from, of a shared story that makes us all equal. We don't have a good backstory for humanity anymore. We don't have a good answer to the question, where did we come from? I mean, sure, we've got a scientific explanation, evolution. We've got a historical explanation of the progress of humanity. And I'm not knocking those, but what they don't tell us is why it matters, why we matter. They don't tell us what it really means to be human, at least not in a way that would satisfy you and I. But there is a better backstory. And it's where the story of the Bible begins. Not with an explanation of the science behind how humanity came to be, but with a story about why you matter and where we really came from. Here's how the story of the Bible begins. In the beginning. What beginning? In the beginning of everything. And that means it's the beginning of your story too. In the beginning, God, the one and only God, created the heavens and the earth. And that's language that means everything. All of it came from him. And then God said, let us make humanity in our image. That's the Bible's story for where you come from. You were created, but not just created in the image of the God who breathed stars into space, who created everything. And he made you in his image to be like him, to be in his likeness, to be in his family. Here are 3 very important things that means. Firstly, your value is fixed. Your value was determined by the fact that God, who made everything, breathed life into the human race and made it in his image. Your value is fixed. You're no more important or less important, more valuable or less valuable than any human being who has ever existed. Here's the second thing this means. You don't get to decide what you were made for. Now sure, you can pick and choose what you do with your life. You can create your own meaning for your life. You can choose what you do for work. You can choose how you dress. But the reason you were made, God had something in mind when he created you. And yeah, you can choose to ignore it. Adam and Eve in the story of the Bible chose to turn their backs on what God wanted for them. But they couldn't get away from the fact that He created them. They couldn't recreate themselves to not need God. And the third thing this means? Well, it means the question, who am I, should actually start with, who is God and what is He like? Who is my maker? Because if it's true that your backstory didn't just begin with your parents deciding to make you, or maybe they didn't even decide or plan to make you. If it's true that your backstory started with the God who created everything and who intended to make you, then that's going to change a lot about who you are and about what you're here for. Hey, listen, you owe it to yourself to at least consider, what does it really mean to be human? What's the human backstory? What's the start of my story really? And if you're not satisfied with the answer you're getting from the world around you, then look somewhere else. Find out where you really come from, and it will change your answer to the question, who am I?